Hey everybody, welcome to or back to my channel, My Kind of Stuff, and today is episode 2 of TBR Takedown. All right, so if you guys don't know what TBR Takedown is, this is my second time playing it. I'm going to spin a random number generator wheel to try and tackle my physical TBR because I currently have 124 books on there, and that's embarrassing, honestly. So we need to get that back under control. So every month I am going to do an episode of this and we will spin the wheel for 5 books, and I need to read those 5 books within, that month. So let's start with our first spin. All right, so spin 1. Ooh, number 108. We got a lot of really low numbers last month, so let's see what this is. All right, so number 108. Let's scroll down. That is Too Wild to Tame by Tessa Bailey. I actually think that's book number 2 in the series. I have not read book 1 yet, which is Too Hot to Handle. So we're going to read that one first, and this is book 1 of the Romancing the Clarksons series by her. And honestly, these were a total cover buy. I know absolutely nothing about them, but yeah, the covers really got me, so that's what we're going with. All right, so let's do our next spin. All right, number 70. And we'll scroll up. Number 70 is Sallow Bend by Alan Baxter. Honestly, that works out really well for me because that is one of the books I believe that was on my horror bingo challenge. So yeah, I'm not mad about that one. All right, let's go for our third book. I'm trying to click the spinner wheel more times because last time I only clicked it once and I felt like I kept getting very close to the same numbers. 11. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I seem to be getting a bigger variety in my numbers this time. And we will scroll all the way up. Okay, number 11 is Cherish by Tracy Wolff. This is in the Crave series. I have not read any of these books yet, so we're actually going to go with Crave, which is book number 1. Not sure that I really care about this series or that I will really like it, but I own them, so I want to read what's on my shelf so I know if I can unhaul it or not. I know there's some controversy going around with this series as well right now, but I don't know. We'll give it a shot, see what happens. All right, let's go for roll 4. Number 26. All right, number 26. Oh no. Okay. It is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. Means that we also have to add Tower of Dawn because I set my books up to do the tandem read already. And also this series has not been going all that well for me. I haven't been enjoying it all that much past like book 1. The last one I read kind of brought it back a little bit for me, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence about the series as a whole. I know it is a beloved series for a lot of Sarah J. Maas fans, but it's not hitting for me. So I'm going to do it. We're going to read it. And we're going to read Tower of Dawn. That officially puts 5 books on this TBR already, but I said we'd roll the wheel 5 times, so we're still going to do one more roll regardless. All right, last one. Number 60. Come on, oh my gosh. What is with this? Okay. This is 2 months in a row. This has given me our book club pick. um, so here's the thing. We don't have our Love and Horror book club until the end of the month. And we don't have reading sprints for this book until the 17th. This video is set to come out on the 15th, so I cannot include this one because I won't be reading it until after this video posts. So we're gonna roll again and pretend that didn't count. But that's really funny because last month I also got our book club pick. All right, one more spin, hopefully. Number 53. Ooh, all right. So I got Incidents Around the House, Josh Mallerman. I actually just got this book recently from Book of the Month for free as my like birthday gift from them. And I've been hearing such good things about it, so I'm really excited to read this one. All right, let's do a quick little recap of all of our spins. First up, we have Too Hot to Handle by Tessa Bailey. Yes, I know I still have my Target sticker on there. And I actually didn't even buy this from Target. I got this from Book Outlet, so they got it from Target. So I'm gonna have to get that off of there, but this was book 1. And then we got Sallow Bend, which I have this beautiful Twisted Retreat version of it, and it actually like on the edge says Sallow Bend, so that's pretty cool. And it's got like this little carnival stenciled edge. So I'm really excited to get into this one because working through my Twisted Retreat edition backlog is also a goal of mine right now, so I'm glad I could get one of these on here. And then it gave me Crave. I feel like this is going to be very like Twilight-esque. It's fairly chunky, but like I know it's YA, so like the font's big and it should hopefully still be a relatively quick read. Then it gave us Empire of Storms, which on its own is a pretty chunky book. But because I have the book already set up and ready to go as a tandem read, that means we also have to add on Tower of Dawn, which is just as chunky. So these are ready to go for my tandem read. I have been putting these off for a very long time because I haven't been loving the series, but I need to get it done so that it is off of my TBR and out of my mind and I can move on from it. So, I mean, I'm not happy it put it on here, but also like I guess I'm not mad about it because it needs to get done. And then the last book we got was Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. I know really nothing about this, but I've heard people say that they really enjoyed it, and Book of the Month was so kind as to give it to me for free for my birthday pick. So yeah, probably out of all of them, this is the one I am most excited to read just because I've heard the best things about it from all of the other picks. But yet again, just like last month, this game it's not even a game, it's just a challenge, has given us a ridiculously huge stack of books to read. Oh man, it's heavy. Look at how that's a lot of pages. I'm gonna have to do the math between like this stack and last month's stack and see which one has more pages because last month gave us a couple like I think it gave us like 600 plus page books last month too. So this challenge has not been kind, but I guess that also means it's my fault because I had that many big books sitting around on my shelf that I haven't read yet. So I'm enjoying doing this and making myself tackle my TBR. I'm sure I will read more off of my TBR than just these. Um, but, you know, these 6 will be my primary focus for the month to get done. And yeah, I will check back in with you guys once I've got the first one read. All right, I have a little reading update for you guys. I did finish Too Hot to Handle by Tessa Bailey. I unfortunately ended up giving this one 2 stars. I really, really love all of Tessa Bailey's newer novels, but now I've been trying to kind of go through her backlist and I've been liking these a lot less. Um, Her first book I read was What Happened One Summer and then Hook, Line, and Sinker. I did not love her. I can't remember what the series is called. The Vineyard ones. They were okay, but they weren't my favorite. And then I really like her new like sports romance series that she's doing. I've been enjoying those as well. But I've read a couple of her older works now, and they've kind of been a miss for me. This one is a small town romance. We are following Rita, who is still kind of grieving her mother's death. She has a not so great relationship with her siblings, and one day she accidentally burns down her mom's restaurant. So that inspires her to kind of take a road trip and get her siblings to come along. They get stranded in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, and all of a sudden Jasper shows up and kind of gets them back to town, gets them a tow truck, kind of shows them around, and of course he falls instantly head over heels for her. He's kind of known in his town as like the good time guy, and the women take him seriously. They just go to him to hook up, basically. And he's tired of that happening. He's ready to settle down, have a family, fall in love, but nobody takes him seriously. He also runs a bar in town called the Liquor Hole. Yep, you heard that right. um, it's just kind of weird, the whole thing, and how quickly he falls for her after like almost zero interaction. Like she gets on his bike, he drives her into town so they can get to the guy to get a tow truck for the car. And like in that short amount of time when they're on a motorcycle having barely talked, he has already like made up his mind that she is the one. Why? I don't know. I don't get it, but that's fine. That's where we are. But basically, they're both a hot mess. They have a lot of things to work through personally that really stop them from like forming a great connection because neither of them is very stable mentally. And basically, Jasper just does everything in his power to like show Rita a good time and that he's really serious about her. And he only has a couple days to do it because, you know, they've got to get the car fixed or whatever. Come to find out at the end, there's some nonsense with that. But like, really, they, he falls in love, decides he's gonna like do everything in his power to keep this girl, and within like a span of 4 days they decide that they are soulmates and she's dropping her entire life to move here to the middle of nowhere with this man that she's only known for a few days, and they live happily ever after. What? Like that? Mm-mm. Doesn't make sense at all. I didn't like it. Yeah, I don't know. The spicy scenes were there. They were typical, very spicy Tessa Bailey scenes, but overall, the plot, it, I, I don't know. Some people like Insta Love. I don't normally hate it this much, but like this was bad. Like this whole book spans a few days. Like seriously, not even a week they've spent together, and she drops everything in her life to go be with this random man. Uh, So yeah, that's how this is going so far, but that's okay. It is one more book off my physical TBR. And I think next I am going to start reading Incidents Around the House because it is still technically spooky season. And I want to try and get in one more spooky read before, you know, it's time for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to go read and I will check back in with you guys later. All right, guys, I'm here with another reading update. I just finished Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. I absolutely loved this. 5 stars. Oh, it was so eerie, so creepy. I love a haunted house story. I love a creepy kid. And this gave me all of that in such a unique way. It's very much written like a monologue screenplay from the child's point of view. We follow 8-year-old Bella and her experience with other mommy, who is kind of like this demon in their house. Um, as things progress, it starts following them everywhere they go, and her mommy and her daddo, as she calls him, along with their grandma and some friends, help to kind of get rid of it. But it's just done so uniquely and so well. I absolutely loved it. This definitely touches on some aspects of like family bonds, um, adoption, and his mom is, not the best person in the world. She has been a cheater most of her life. You kind of learn about these characters and they kind of develops as the story goes. You get more and more of these glimpses into the pasts of the parents' lives and see how that affects like what is going on currently. And yeah, I had so much fun. I'm so glad I read this before spooky season was like over because it's definitely one of my favorite reads of the season. All right. That being said, I am still very much in a spooky season mood, which works out well because I have one more book on this TBR Takedown challenge that definitely fits the spooky season vibes, and that is Sallow Bend. So I think I will be reading this one next because the rest of the books that I have on the list for this challenge are uh, fantasy romance. So yeah, definitely just I want to get this one done while I'm still in the mood for it, and then hopefully I'm ready to move on to the fantasy books. So I will check back in with you guys when I have finished this one. Hey guys, I'm back with another reading update. I have finished Sallow Bend. This is like a small town folk horror. Two teenage girls go missing from Sallow Bend, and all the residents have to kind of come together to search for them. But finding the girls kind of only starts all of their problems because there's this ancient evil rising. There's an old man in town who seems to be the only one that like knows what the heck is going on. And there's also a carnival in town, and all the carnival people are kind of trying to help find the girls, but like some of them are kind of shady. And it was fine. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It was by no means perfect. It was definitely a little overwritten. I think I found myself getting bored and like zoning out in parts of it. It's a little more gothic, I would say, than I tend to enjoy. So I think that's probably part of the issue with it for me and why it felt a little slower. Um, because gothic horror just really generally doesn't do it for me. It's always very slow paced and like supposed to be more eerie and creepy and building, but to me that didn't really happen here. I never felt like all that creeped out by anything. But I did still enjoy the story and my time with it, so I'm going with 3 stars for Sallow Bend. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I basically just have a bunch of fantasy romance, and not only that, but YA fantasy romance left on this TBR Takedown episode to read, and I have just, it's not been hitting for me lately. But I have Crave, and then I have Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn. So yeah, I'm not really sure where I'm gonna go next with it. I'll probably do Crave first, just because Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn I'm doing a tandem read for, and that just sounds really daunting right now. And I think Crave, though it looks long, I think it's a lot shorter than I think it is, and I believe it'll go really quickly. So it's probably what I'll jump to next, but I'm not quite sure. So I will check back in with you guys when I have decided and I guess probably finished the next book. All right, I have officially finished Crave. This one's getting a 2-star from me. It was nothing special. I wasn't really expecting it to be. This whole series I got secondhand. Um, so I bought it not really knowing if I cared to read it, and I'm definitely out of my like YA fantasy romance realm for the most part. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna end up unhauling this whole series. I'll read one more book just to see, but I after reading this one, I don't have much hope. So in this book, we follow Grace. Her parents, unfortunately, lost their lives. She ends up going to Alaska to live with her uncle and her cousin, and go to this academy. She doesn't know that this is an academy for like supernatural kind of beings. But of course, when she gets there, she finds out she gets a little vampire boyfriend. A lot of the kids at the school are mean to her, are very dangerous, are out to get her. It's just your typical, like, YA fantasy romance. It didn't do anything special. It does take place in Alaska, which is kind of unique. It definitely talked about the cold and the snow a lot. Like, so atmospherically, it was slightly more unique than other ones I've read, but overall, I don't know. It, it was what it was. I read it, it was a big one. I'm glad it's off my list. Like I said, I'll give one more book a try. After that, if I don't like it any more than this, these are out of here because I can't be bothered to read this whole series if they don't get any better. So yeah, that's my update on that. I'm gonna go read Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and check back in with you guys later. All right, I have officially finished my tandem read of Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn. I will say, for being my first time reading these, I'm not sure I recommend doing a tandem read. It kind of took me out of the story a lot, having to like switch back and forth and track where I was at, what was going on. It was just a lot to think about. I think had this been like my second time reading it, it maybe would have been more impactful. I did like how the two stories kind of like followed the same time frame but were set in different places. Um like so I do appreciate the tandem read. I like the purpose of it, but for a first read through, I don't think it's worth doing. So in Empire of Storm, we're following Aelin and trying to kind of watch her try to reclaim her throne and her world, as well as forging um, some new alliances and trying to make up for some things she did in the past. And she is very much like come into her power now, and it was a lot of fun, like all the fighting scenes in this book. But it definitely wasn't my favorite. I liked Tower of Dawn a lot more. So in Tower of Dawn, we're following Kale in his like road to recovery. He ends up meeting Irene, who is a healer, and she's kind of reluctant to help him because of his background and where he's from, but she took an oath to heal people, so she starts to heal him, finds out more about him, his background, what's happening, and they start forming this bond and relationship that was really cute and adorable. And just seeing her kind of like help Kale come out of uh this dark spot that he is in because of what happened to him in the previous book. It was just a lot of fun, and I genuinely enjoyed this one. Um, which is something that can't be said for most of the books in the series for me thus far. So I'm gonna give Empire Storms a 3-star, Tower of Dawn a 4-star. Um, like these were two big books, and I am so glad to have them like off my TBR now. It's like such a weight lifted. Because I knew I wanted to do the tandem read, and I've just been avoiding it like the plague. Like I didn't. It seems so daunting. So this TBR takedown video really gave me that push I needed to do it. And I can say it's finally done, and now I only have one more book left in the series, Kingdom of Ash, and then I will have finally completed the Throne of Glass series. But this episode of TBR Takedown was not playing around. This was quite the mighty stack of books that we had to read. So honestly, like Throne of Glass books and Crave, I had just been putting off for so long now. So I'm glad that it forced me to get to them. The other books, I definitely would have gotten to sooner rather than later on my own anyway. But I'm glad that it forced me to get back into my fantasy romance world. So yeah, I'm excited to continue this series. I will be doing another episode in December. I might only do 3 books depending on what it picks, just because I want to have like an easy end of the year. I don't want to stress too much about um reading goals. I just want to enjoy the holiday season and spend time with friends and family. So yeah, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.